This is ESBR Boxing. Delighted to be joined by none other than the Hammer himself as he prepares to go on another heist, this time not in Germany, over in America this time. It's Pody McCrory. Pody, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's another night for a heist. We're getting very close to fight night, so things are starting to ease off a wee bit in terms of training. Just focus on making weight and night traveling to Florida.
Absolutely, absolutely. As you mentioned there, we're what day of filming this, we're only 11 days away from
Mhm.
fight night. 24th of February, of course, you're fighting Edgar Berlanga over, as you said, over in Orlando. How's the preparation been then? I've seen you've been doing some sparring. I've seen on your social media recently with the likes of Callum Simpson, Kevin Cronin and stuff.
Yeah, Kevin Cornan, Colin Simpson. I was down today with Luke Keeler, who has a fight coming up in March. So probably the most consistent I've been with sparring in the last 2 years. Obviously, few sort of reasons and why sparring wasn't up up to standard in the last couple of camps, but I've been consistent like in this camp with sparring, and I'm starting to feel the benefits.
Happy days. Brilliant. Edgar Berlanga, your opponent on February 24th. Talk about him for a wee second. Before you kind of got the call that you were in line for this fight, did you know much about him? Seems to be quite a lot of hype around him in the US.
Yeah, he's created a bit of hype because of his first 16 fights. He had for first round knockouts, and that's probably built him to where he is today. He's apparently is like his gait in the States is really good as well, which is probably why he's main eventing. I knew a bit about him. I There was a few opponents that I was offered previously, and he had fought them, and I had a wee look at him, but. And I was due to fight him last June as well. I was in negotiations, and Jason Quigley then got the nod. So yeah, I've watched him, I study him, and he's the monster. He's the big bad guy, isn't he? He's Edgar Berlanga, but man, he's 2 arms and 2 legs, just like myself, and we're going to Florida with no fear, no doubt, no no worries.
Brilliant. Love it. It sounds great. Paddy sounds great. He is, as you mentioned there, 21 and 0, 16 knockouts. However, those 16 knockouts obviously did all come in his first 16 fights. I think his last five have all gone the distance. Do you read anything into that at all? Or do you think that's maybe just up in the level of opposition?
Yeah, I think his last five opponents have been very durable as well. He's been dropping most of them. So there's no doubt that in his punch power ability, and obviously the more levels you go up, the harder it gets the they knock people out. So I don't read too much into that. But I I fully understand the, the task at hand. I'm think I'm quite a reasonable guy. I'm quite level headed, and I know what I'm getting into. I know the risk. I know the rewards. So it's I can't think it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. You're right. Is there anything from those recent performances, notably, Steve Rawls, for example, and then obviously the Jason Quigley fight? We all know Jason Quigley very well over this side of the pond. Is there anything that jumps out from at you from those performances, good or bad?
Um, I there's there's flaws in his game that I think they can be exposed. He will say the exact same about me as well. Um, he gets hit clean. I get hit clean. It's I don't think you have to look too far into that. Um, but as you say, he started to go to distance. The step up in opposition, I think, has slowed down his sort of his if you want to call it hype train. And it's probably been slightly negative towards his career because people are now saying he's a hype job because he's not knocking people out. But back here in Ireland, people know how good Jason Quigley is and was. So you can't take away how good of a win that was. I think Quigley. won a quite few rounds as well. So I don't think Berlanga isn't the finished article. He's still young, and it could be the right time for me to expose that.
Absolutely. You mentioned there kind of, the task at hand and stuff. You're a big puncher, he's a big puncher. You've been hit clean, he's been hit clean, he's been dropped. Obviously this is called Shootout. I saw you on the Whiskey and White podcast with Tommy McCarthy, so shout out to the Whiskey and White podcast. But yeah, it's called Shootout. Do you think that's really what it is in a word? Do you think that do you believe that it is a shootout? It's kind of not who lands first, but whoever lands their biggest shots first, that could be the end of the fight.
Yeah, it's we're both big punchers. I think if you look into my record, it probably it's a wee bit like deceiving because I have heard a few sort of social media tweets and videos saying that I'm that I'm not a big puncher. So I do hope and believe that they are like overlooking my own punch power. Because if they are, once I hit him, he's gonna know he's been hit. But I think the name it's about right. It's we're both fighters that can change a fight in one punch. And I think the fans are in for a very exciting fight.
Absolutely, yeah. Can't wait to watch it myself. He's been dropped before, I mentioned there. And he's also been, I think people would say, as you mentioned, despite it being pretty one-sided on the scorecards, I think Jason Quigley won a lot more rounds than he was maybe given credit for. Um, do you think? I mean, I don't. Fair enough if you don't want to answer this type of question, but do you think he's maybe a little bit delicate around the chin? Maybe a little bit chinny.
I don't know. There is footage of him getting dropped in sparring by a good fighter. Yeah, but was a late middleweight. There is footage of him getting dropped in the amateur, so you can't question his chin definitely. But as I say, he does get hit clean, and he's only been dropped once. So in a way, he is tough, but there's definitely questions. There's definitely questions around his chin, and if there's a vulnerability there and there's a weakness there, I plan in exploiting that. I believe we're going to find out on the night because I feel like he's under serious pressure, like to perform. He's under. I think he's under massive pressure from Matchroom, from the zone, to really show that he is what they think he's going to be or should be. Um, and when he comes and he comes to look at me, he's going to leave himself open and if I catch him clean, I hope it's good night.
I agree. Hope fingers crossed as a Pody McCrory fan. I hope so too, mate. I do.
Mhm.
You think that you can draw on your experiences from when you went over to Germany and won the IBO title? Obviously, that was up at light heavyweight, but you went into the lines then, probably seen as the underdog, and you came away with the knockout victory. Do you think you can draw on that experience to help you this time around?
Most definitely, Germany is notoriously a difficult place to go, um, and and all the pressures around as the away fighter. My first time doing that, I think the experience of that is going to stand by me. Like we went there as a slight underdog. This time I'm a bit more of an underdog, but we went there. We moved up in weight as well, which people seem to slightly overlook. Moved up in weight, fought an undefeated fighter, which Berlanga hasn't done yet, and we got the job done in comfortable fashion. So that experience is going to stand by me. And then even when I didn't get the Berlanga fight, I main evented in my own city, and that brings its own pressure. So that's all stuff that I can look and draw from and take experience from, and I think I'm primed like for this occasion.
Absolutely, absolutely. Have you let yourself think about after this fight at all, or is it just all eyes on Berlanga? Because I did hear you say, I think on the Whiskey and White show as well, is there a two match deal? Is there a two fight deal with Matchroom potentially on the cards if you win this one?
Yeah, I think it's all part of the contract, and of course, my whole career I've spent taking it fight by fight, and I never get too far ahead of myself. But it's so a win here is massive. It's like it's literally life changing. So I have thought about that. It brings no pressure, no extra pressure, because at the end of the day, I was never expected to get here. I'm the man that is surprising everybody, and I'm going to continue to do that. So a, a win that I believe I'm going to get here sets up massive fights, which probably the leading promoter in boxing at the minute has mentioned some massive names, and if that happens, it's as I said on the Whiskey and White, it's red panty night.
Absolutely. Well, and we all know what you're getting at. Canelo, his last ever fight over here fighting you. Oh, fingers crossed that's the case,
Yeah.
mate. And just finally, Paddy, I always like to end the interview. What can we expect? What can everyone tuning in on February 24th expect from the Hammer? What's going to happen when you fight Edgar Berlanga?
When I fight ever, so when I fight Berlanga, it's labeled the shootout, and that's exactly what it's going to be. We're we're two big punchers, two good fighters, but there's only going to be one result, and it's going to be me winning, and I'm going to be standing to the ring after that fight with my hand raised.
Brilliant. I hope so. I certainly hope so. Paddy, I certainly
Thank
hope
you
so.
very much.
I make no apologies for my Irish bias for this fight at all. But yeah, appreciate your time as always, mate. Thanks very much for talking to ASBR Boxing.
Thank you very much. All the best, mate. Take it easy.